Multifamily Mindset
podcast. Think bigger.
Welcome back to the Multifamily Mindset podcast. I am your host today, Zach Rucker, coach here at the Multifamily Mindset and also investor. Today, I'm super excited. I'm excited about most episodes, to be honest. I love having our guests on here. That's something I enjoy doing. But today, we have Chris with us, Chris Boss, and you guys are in for a show for sure, and learning from this guy and just what he's up to. So I'm super excited to just jump into this, and a shout out to Will, our kind of producer in the background. You guys listened to my episode with him. Will interviewed me. If you haven't, go listen to it. Will's awesome, but he's the one that behind the scenes kind of putting these together a lot of times, and he wrote this up, and so I gotta give him credit. This isn't from, I didn't write this, but this is really good. So today's guest went from being coached to coaching. He's the kind of guy who will help you find your voice, literally and figuratively. From calling minor league baseball games to calling students up to think bigger. Let's welcome Chris Boss.
Wow.
Awesome. Yeah, you're up now.
Well, thank you for that intro. That's fantastic. Yeah. Feels like just yesterday, but it's been over a year where Gina and I were being coached by Zach and Ashton. And here we are. Lots of things fell into place all at once. And man, your leadership and your guidance, and that's helped us go through. And yeah, definitely a shout out to Will. Good stuff. I watched that video with you guys. Well, good stuff. Great information.
Yeah, he's great. Awesome. Well, I mean, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed watching your guys' journey. So I appreciate those kind of words. I've enjoyed watching your guys' journey, and it's so cool to be able to work even more close with you guys. And that's the beauty of real estate in just itself, is the types of people you can work with. And you're never like set in stone where you got a company and you don't ever like work with anyone else. You're always partnering because you're always trying to go and do bigger and bigger deals and more deals. And the only way to do that is to leverage relationships and resources. And that's what's so great about this, is like you continue to build those relationships because you hope that either one day you can partner on deals, or two, you just cheer each other on and you support each other, right?
Yeah.
And that's
definitely. No, it's been crazy. The people that we've been working with now, the people we've been meeting, whether it was, especially at peak, meeting everybody and seeing Eric, because we're out here on the West Coast, y'all are scattered throughout the states, and real estate brings us together in this concept of thinking bigger that Tyler's put together. It's just, it's great to be around like-minded people, and we're all thinking bigger. And that's just one of the many things that I love about this community, and thinking bigger, going from being coached to now coaching. Yeah. Gina, when we went through our workshop, she looked up at the stage and said, I want to be up there. I will be up there. And I was like, yeah, we will. Here we are. Now we're coaching. We're talking about doing workshops and fast tracks and all kinds of fun stuff around the country. So thinking bigger, and have passion behind thinking bigger. Don't just think bigger, but be true to it. Put your whole heart and mind and soul behind it. There you go.
Yeah. I love that. Oh yeah, you guys are awesome, and it's so fun to be around that environment of like-minded people, right? That's what keeps me going for sure, is in coming back, is to be a part of this and to feel that energy, because it definitely helps propel you when you're around people that have that type of energy to continue to think bigger. It pushes you to do better as well. So let's talk about what was life like before MFM.
Well, life before MFM. So I was working in the school industry, sports coach, after school coordinator, campus security during school days. It was great, but there was bigger out there. So about 2023, my son was leaving for Navy basic training. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm done here at the school. I think it's time to go find bigger. And seriously, that was actually the thought process was I got to find bigger. So while on my drive from California all the way out to Chicago, got to thinking about doing home inspections because I've always been into real estate, always been into construction, craftsmanship, having a strong work ethic. Had a couple of single families under our belt, but then I was like, well, how can I take it the next step? Home inspections. On the drive back from Chicago, overheard this crazy guy loud and very convicting of this multifamily concept.
Yeah.
So Jana and I got on it and uh yeah, we went from hey, we need to do something to we can do this. And now here we are going around coaching it. Got a couple of more deals coming down the pipeline as we speak. But before MFM, it was stuck. I mean, one of my favorite sayings was because I coached basketball and baseball and water polo. A good day in sports is better than any, or a bad day in sports is better than any good day in a cubicle.
Mhm.
And really, that's what multifamily is also. We're not stuck in cubicles. We can go travel. We can go check out new properties. We can affect a whole community, one life at a time, one unit at a time. And so, yeah, life before MFM, it was fine, but it wasn't where we wanted to be at.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
And you so coach basketball. I didn't see. I didn't even know this about you. I knew you're a huge baseball fan. I didn't even know you coached basketball and water polo. That's awesome.
That's
That's
that's the thing that shocks people that are getting to know me in the last 4 to 5 years is they think baseball, baseball, baseball.
yeah.
Um, I actually grew up. My father was a college basketball player and a college basketball coach.
Oh
So at a
wow.
very young age, like 2 years old, there I was growing up in a basketball gym. Basketball was my first love. Um, when I blew my knee out in high school, could have had surgery, could have rehabbed. Instead, at the ripe old, age of 16, here I am talking to the varsity coach, going, "Hey, how can I help the program?" And I became the assistant freshman basketball coach at 16. And then that was where the coaching began. I mean, I was raised by a coach. It made sense. In my family, you're either a preacher, a teacher, a coach, or you're in the military. I've done all but one. I haven't been a preacher yet. Probably not going to. But teacher, coach, and military.
Yeah.
So the coaching, the guidance from a young age, it's always been how can you help others?
Mhm.
And I can bring that here to multifamily. That's what we're all about is helping others.
Mhm.
Whether it's our investors, whether it's our tenants, whether it's each other in our partnerships. It's all about helping others. We're not trying to sell anything. We're trying to help. So,
Yeah.
just made sense.
Hmm. So I mean, it's yeah, it's like it's in your blood to do this, to coach and to help other people. What's like, behind that? So
Wow.
why does
Wow.
it matter to you personally? Like what? So like what? I know it's like in your blood, right? But like
Well,
what kind of drives you to continue to do that, right? Because some people could say I was raised this way and now I'm not going to do. I don't want anything to do with that. But here you are like owning that and then continue to do it not only in just sports but now in real estate and wherever else you can. Like what kind of drives you to that passion?
it's going to go pretty deep right now. My family was um, in Europe in World War II. They were that family that you heard of 5 to 8 people in the household. They have one cup of oatmeal to last a whole week. They
Wow.
were in Nazi occupied Holland. That's where my father was born. And after the war, they came here to America. And They had been liberated by others. So others gave to save them. Then when they came here, they knew that they had to give back. So my whole life, I've heard stories of the worst of the worst situations in building yourself up. So it really, when some people say it's in my blood, it really is from the beginning. And then, of course, having the last name Boss, I'm always kind of looked at for help and guidance. And it
Yeah.
just it just keeps going from there. My worst day of coaching or guiding or teaching has been better than any of those days where I might not have been, where I was back when I was working as a video game technician at um, John's Incredible Pizza. Shout out to John's Incredible Pizza, great pizza buffet place. Um, but working as a game technician there, I wasn't helping anybody. And so my soul and my heart was not being fulfilled.
Mm.
That's when I took those 2 years off and I had to go back. Had to go back to coaching. Had to go back. This was in between serving in the Navy and being in the school industry. I say industry because I was at four different schools. So I don't just point to one school. It was the whole group. Um, and so being able to move from the school industry to this and even to announcing minor league baseball, I'm giving to a community, and it goes back to the foundation of me and my family on always striving to give more than we receive. So I hope to never have a burnout day, but I can't say it'll never happen. But 44 years old and still pushing to help others.
Mm. That's I love that, and I mean you can feel that from you of just wanting to help and to give, and I mean most say every single call I jump on with you, there's always a smile, and you're always either cracking a joke, being sarcastic, or just helping out too. And so
Absolutely. You got to have the balance.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, I love that.
There's
Love the
some
sarc.
great there's some great teachers and coaches out there that don't put the laugh or the smile behind it,
Yeah.
and the students or learners will feel that. Or you have someone who's just a joker, not actually giving any kind of substance. They'll feel that too.
Mhm.
But there does have to be a happy balance. I learned that from my grandmother, who taught math till she was 99.
Wow.
She had a high school named after her because of all the work that she did with the California Youth Authority. And she lived to be 104. She's the one that survived World War II and moving all the way from Europe over to America and starting all over again. My grandmother was a teacher in Holland, and my grandfather, or Opa, Oma and Opa, he was a concert organist. They got here to America, they were custodians, and they worked their way back up to being a teacher. And he was in his last couple of days the dean of music at the College of Pacific. So giving up is not an option.
Mhm.
Literally, her motto was never give up. Way before Jim Valvano brought it into the play in ESPN. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, and that once again, why I am who I am.
Yeah.
Those were the values and morals instilled in me.
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
love that. And so, I mean, you're doing a lot. Like you have a lot of different things that you're doing, right? Um, the question I have, and I know our listeners will really benefit from this, is how do you go from having the skill, and the reason why I bring this question up is because it is in your past and through your ancestors of having to start over, right? Like you're coming into multifamily and starting over, creating this new skill, and then you're becoming a announcer for the minor leagues, and that's a new skill. Jumping on the podcast, that's a skill. How do you uh, jump into this new thing that could be really scary, that maybe you don't feel like you're qualified to do? Jumping into coaching. Now you're qualified to do that because you've been doing it since you were 16, coaching high school teams. But what's yeah, how do you go about approaching that?
That is a fantastic question. And it's something that I've passed along to my students or my athletes or the learners we have here at MFM. It is new to you. It's not new concept to everybody. So someone has done it before you. So why not you?
Mm,
And that really is the question that you have to ask. It is terrifying. You are going to make mistakes. I promise. But someone has done it before you. Unless you're, Bannister with, what was it, Oregon University, the first guy to run a 4-minute mile. Someone has done multifamily before you. Someone has coached before you. Someone has announced a game before you. So why not? It's not going to kill you. May make you go bankrupt for once or twice. Who knows? Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Not everything is all rainbows and clouds, but you're going to make it. You're going to be fine. The question is, how far do you want to push yourself? Do you have a thirst? Do you have a hunger? As the great Les Brown says, you gotta be hungry. Well,
mm,
all right. What does that mean? Are you hungry? Are you hungry enough to try something new? And if you are, fantastic. If you're not, then let's talk. Why not? What do you need to inspire you? What gets you going in the morning when you wake up? What turns you on for the day? Let's find that and then put that behind whatever the new thing you're trying to do is. That's how I roll.
that's the way to do it. I mean, right there, like listeners, like if you didn't catch that, rewind that, re-listen to that, what Chris has said, because that's gold right there. And it is true. Like, why not you? I love that. Like, why not you find what you are passionate about? And a lot of people stumble upon real estate. Very successful people that are in these massive, um, companies that very successful. I continue to listen to them on podcasts, and they say, "I just stumbled upon real estate. I wasn't even pursuing it, and I stumbled upon it, and it made sense, and I jumped in." And and then they went full force because it was something that did wake them up every day. And so yeah, find that. If it's real estate, you're in the right place listening to this podcast, right? If it's not, that's fine. This is about being entrepreneurs too, and finding that passion, and just going full force, and building that. It doesn't matter at what point in your life you're doing that. You can start over, right? Like your ancestors did, and many others have. Is sometimes you have to start from scratch.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Starting from scratch, it sounds terrifying, but honestly, it means you don't have bad habits, don't have any habits. So why not learn some good ones right off the bat?
Mm, I like that. I like that. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, you
Yeah,
you might
it,
have bad habits in other situations, but this new one, you don't. There's no
yeah,
habits at all. So create it how you want to, and design it um, the way you see that.
yeah. Another thing, I listen to a lot of podcasts and a lot of inspirational speakers. Jim Rohn, he said, if you don't like your situation, you're not a tree. Get up and move. Try something different. You're not stuck. You're not planted. If you don't like your situation, get up and try something new. And that's really the story of me and MFM. Like I said, I had a couple of, or still have, a couple of single families, but once you actually think about the multifamily concept, that makes sense. And I didn't like my situation, so here I am, getting up. Let's move.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's just go and think bigger, right? Just going
Think
back to
bigger.
that, thinking bigger and moving forward. Uh, I love that. So, switching gears a little bit to more of your, I guess, public speaking
Whew.
and announcing part of your life, of jumping into the minor league announcing and in that sector. Like, have you always, now I know you've been a coach since you're 16, so you have some comfortable part that's just in your blood, but like what pushed you to want to do just like the speaking side of it and being comfortable there? For me, before you answer that, like
Yeah.
for me coming on the podcast, I've always been what I mean, maybe an extroverted introvert. Like I like to be, the quiet one. I sit in the back of the classrooms, but I'm listening. Like I'm always observing and paying attention to things. But social gatherings and parties, sometimes I get a little anxious. It's a little too much. I'm not this wild person. I'm very chill, mellow, go with the flow type of thing. Um, and then coming on the podcast, it was something that I've always wanted to do. And man, I've been terrified. Every episode I jump on, I'm so like, a little nervous, and I know I have a lot to learn. But that's a little bit behind me of like just trying to jump into the public speaking space, right? And being better at that and uh, building a strength there, right? But yeah, so now you have that context that I'm here listening as a student to what you have to say on that.
I am absolutely right there with you. Introverted, extrovert. In my normal time, I'm quiet. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm reading books. I am learning. I'm absorbing. I try not to be the life of the party, but when the party's boring, sure, I'll step up. And when it comes to the public speaking, whether it's announcing for the Modesto Nuts or being on a podcast or doing my podcast on for baseball cards, that's when the alter ego boss man comes out.
Mm.
So it's not me. It's not
Yeah.
me. It's boss
Okay.
man. Um, a big showman who is out there loud and proud, being obnoxious to the opponents and driving the home team to a win. But in reality, Chris Boss, I'm focusing on numbers. I'm diving into how can I do better. And yeah, that's usually being quiet, off to the side, absorbing, um, learning to pay attention to how other people are interacting before I go speaking, because you got to read the room before you talk. And yeah, COVID, a lot of folks on YouTube or Instagram or any of them before 2020, you didn't know anything about them because they weren't out there. And so when you had a little bit of time, that's when, at that time, Boss Man Sports Cards came to play. Before 2020, I was coaching. 2020, I stopped. 2021, 2022, I started to take a step back and utilize my voice and start announcing for the high school, whether it's baseball, basketball, or introductions during school events. And then Gina was like, hey, we should go do stuff. And one of the things that she liked to do, because it was cheap, was go to minor league baseball games. You get the cheap hot dogs, the cheap drinks, the cheap tickets. So we started doing that. And we toured around the country. We've been to, I think, 54 different stadiums now, whether it's spring training, minor league, or major league. One of the stadiums is here in Central California, Modesto. And I joked with the general manager once I figured out who the general manager was. I was like, hey, you need some help? If your announcer's sick one day and I'm here, I can help out. And before the 2023 season, she's like, okay, you know what? Sure, come audition. And so I was supposed to be the voice. Um, there's 6 games in a week against the same team, and I was going to do 3 games, and then someone else was going to do 3 games. Then we have a week off, and then same kind of rotation. Before the season started, we had at the stadium what's called a high school showcase. Well, I had already announced high school sports. The rules are different. It's baseball, but it's not.
Yeah.
And then I started doing the announcing part. And they're like, okay, nope, you're it. You're it. And so I've missed 1 game in 2 seasons. And that's because I took over not only as mid-season, I was just the announcer, and then I took over as promotions coordinator. So I became front office staff and started doing all the promotions in the stadium, pregame, postgame, community relations, all that. So I came in on a Monday. Well, games are Tuesday through Sunday, and legally you can't work 7 days in a row. So I had to pick a game that I wasn't going to announce, and I had to take a day off. So it's the only game I have not announced between the 2023 or between 2024 and 2025 season. And so here we are. It went from joking with some staff members and the general manager to now I walk around Modesto and it's like, hey, when's the next game? I'm recognized. It's weird. And that's where the introvert versus the extrovert comes in. It's like, oh, yeah, we'll see you at the game. Um, yeah. And then I get to the game and they get to the game and I'm this loud, boisterous voice.
Yeah, yeah.
that that's going all 9 innings. And last month we had back-to-back homestands. That's 12 games in 13 days.
Oh,
Voice, perfectly fine. Let's go. And then also doing the coaching here at MFM. It's people don't understand that no, private me is definitely not boss man.
yeah.
I mean, last year in the playoffs, we were in San Jose. One of my favorite memories of announcing, we all went down as front office staff to watch the game on the road. And about the seventh inning, it was, I think we were either down one or we were tied. And I looked at some of the other front office staff. I'm like, hey, let's go in the stands. And we started being loud like we would at home, doing our home cheers and chants. Got the ball players into it, got our fans into it because all the fans were in one little section that came from Modesto out to San Jose. If you don't know the distance, it's about 70 miles. Um, there were some Giants fans over in that area, San Jose Giants. They got up, walked away. We took over that whole section of the stadium. All of a sudden, we win by 5. And it was the reaction that I got from the ball players and the coaching staff after we won the championship was completely unexpected. One of the things that I say is, oh, yeah. The Kool-Aid man, right?
Yeah.
Who doesn't love hearing that?
Yeah.
So I started doing that during games, and they're like, we have to have that in our championship ring. Because if it's not for that, come San Jose and some of the other games after and before, we don't have this championship. So it's crazy to think that me being just a fan 2 years ago, now here we are winning a championship, and the players and the coaches are crediting me. What? That's crazy.
That is crazy. That is crazy. That's awesome. I mean, it just shows like what you can do by just starting to push yourself.
And having passion behind it.
Yeah.
That is the huge thing that so many people, whether in just everyday life or here with real estate, you have to have passion in what you do. It's what's going to drive you to do better, to be better, to want better, to think bigger, to want bigger. You got to have passion.
Yes. Oh man, that's awesome. I mean, it's so cool. Just your experience through that, and just the learnings from that, like what you can pull away from that. It's just little by little. The other piece that we even talked about is like adding value, and you added a ton of value, but it's because you're passionate. You're passionate about it, and that passion just kept pushing, pushing, pushing. Of hey, let's go do this, or hey, let me help out here, to the point where yeah, you created an impact because you had that passion for the team, for the organization, um, even more than some of those that were there that day. You had more passion, which then that energy, people can feel that energy, and that's what's just so cool about that, of just being passionate about something. And bringing that back to like MFM is just like thinking bigger, being around those people. There's some days that you're gonna just be in a rut, you're gonna be in that hole, and
Yeah.
you need that other person that help pull you out. And that's what's so
And
great
that's
about this community.
definitely one of the things I love about the community and how we roll with being part of a team. Because you can. I mean, if you are in a rut and there's no one around you to help pick you up, well, it's not going to get better. That's anywhere in life, but especially here with MFM or any multifamily, having that team aspect. It's not going to be the same person every time. as much as I would love to say I'm going to be the raw passion, happy energy guy, I have bad days. And that's one of the blessings that I have. Um, and she's not here on the podcast, but my fiance and my business partner, Gina, she's my underwriter. She's taught math for over 25 years. And so I don't even try to play with the math. She knows that. She knows the underwriting. Nope, I'm good. I'll be the asset manager. I will go capital raise. Let's talk about all that good stuff. That's what I can do. And I can also bring up the rest of the team. I can put passion behind it. I can put emphasis behind it. Hey, we've got a deal coming. And by the way, we have two. So let's go help people. Let's go help a community. Let's go help investors. Let's go help each other. Let's go do this. And I can put that passion behind it. And, getting all kinds of stuff. Good things coming our way just because of that.
Yeah.
And maybe a little knowledge, but sure.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just a little.
But it's again, at the end of the day, like, we don't have to get hung up on knowledge either. Right? That's the analysis by paralysis, or whatever,
Oh,
whatever that is.
definitely. I felt that because of my passion and excitement when we started, but I think we'll get into that a little bit later.
Well, hey, let's dive into. I mean, there's so many things we could talk about,
Oh, yeah.
but I guess taking this towards what's some patterns, because you guys have been in this and continue to push through, the past couple of years being in this network, and seeing failures and seeing other people, their passions burn out, and you guys continue to be here and have that passion. What are some of those patterns that you've seen, being yourself as a student coming into this, and seeing others, that's helped you guys and others get to succeed or be successful and finding that deal?
Yeah, it's just seeing that finish line and then doing some reverse engineering from the education that we've got. Gina and I both have ADHD, and that can be a superpower if used properly.
Mm.
And that's what we've done is we've taken this education that multifamily mindset, Tyler, you, Ashton, Kyle in the past, you guys have given us these tools, and we take our own personal ADHD and energy and passion and education that we have had before. I mean, she has a master's degree in education. Come on. I don't stand a chance against that. It's just being a guy who's, gotten electrical certifications. But you take the education that multifamily has given us and you take that ADHD that we have, we can look in different various directions at the same time and keep that passion, and we can see what's going on in the future. A lot of students, whether they have the same superpowers we have or don't, they if they don't utilize their ADHD in a proper way, they can get distracted and go off into other things, and that happens all the time. Or if they're not able to see the future truths, they can get burnt out real quick because, well, they can't see the goal. They can't see the end line. They can't see the finish. They can't see the I's being dotted and the T's being crossed. So that's one of the things that we love about being able to come to this education part as coaches, is we can remind the students, hey, don't worry. It's gonna work out. You have to see the tree from the forest. You can do this. But yeah, we've seen a lot of great, very educated, very financially well-off people get into this, but they just couldn't see that end. So they went and either found something else or they just stopped. And there's a lot of bright, shiny things out there. Don't get me wrong. You will be taken away. Your attention will go to other places. But can you bring it back? And that's what we've been able to do, is we bring it back to multifamily. On a personal note, Gina and I have both been single parents before. And that's one of our big whys. It goes back to, what is your why? We've got about 5. And one of them is doing multifamily to help single parents, Yeah, single parents, so that they can have life not completely beat them down. And that's one of our goals once our inventory or investor list and our bank accounts are big enough to do, where we can go and put some philanthropic. It's a good thing I don't professionally speak. Philanthropic parts to this, to MFM or to just multifamily, and that's helping single parents.
Mm.
Um, or otherwise are our children. Between us, we have 6 children, and we have a couple of grandchildren already. So, what's our why? Well, to give them the head start that we didn't have, get them into real estate before, they're even out of high school or before they're stuck in a cubicle. Get them into it. Something that wasn't passed down to us. Um, yeah, so we have a lot of passion. We have a lot of reasons why.
Yeah, I love that. But I mean, that's the important piece that is like you have to have that why. If you don't have that why, then you lose that passion because your passion can always circle back when you're starting to fade a little bit. Okay, what's my why?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, these are the whys. Like you just listing that off probably just gave you a little bit more energy. Like
Uh,
just like,
yeah.
yeah, we're gonna do this. Like we're having success, got deals working, which is so exciting that you guys, have some deals that you guys are working through, and I'm excited to see that. So with that why, it's going to help you through some hard times. But what's been one of the hardest times in your investing journey? Being in this where maybe there might have been some doubt coming in, um, or that passion starting to fade.
And it's going to hit every student differently, but for us it was at the beginning. It was that we're seeing other students getting deals. We
Mm,
are seeing others falling off. We don't have a deal. We're also stuck in analysis paralysis because, and I'm sorry, Zach, I do want to apologize, but when you were our coach, you gave us great information on taking those 10 markets and then bringing them down to one or two and become the master of that market. And then, well, I mean, we're smart. We have a lot of energy. We have a lot of passion behind all this. And we took those 10 markets and we are seeing that 7 of them are being touted by a lot of smarter expert people than we are. Let's just look at all 7 of them. And we got stuck in analysis paralysis for a good 6 or 7 months. I swear, if we had listened to what you said and it focused to one or two, we would easily be 3 or 4 more deals into our real estate empire. And I
mhm.
say that in our calls that I teach. Trust the process, listen to those that have done it before, listen to the experts, especially the ones that are coaching, because they've been there and they know what's in front of you. And you are learners and students and you are learning and you're dumb. At least I am. I am. And we were, because we heard this great well-known expert, and his top 10, we had 7 of them. So yeah, analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
So that, honestly, because we were seeing everybody else do better and we were so scattered, it was tough. It was tough. We
Mhm.
were doing the going to meetups. Unfortunately, it's also where we physically met one of those gurus, and he he validated our own thought that we know better. Um, and that was tough because we weren't moving forward. We were stuck.
Mm.
Um, and as much as I love saying, hey, have passion and have energy behind it, if you don't know what you're doing, all you now are is an energized, passionate idiot. Take the knowledge that others have gotten from their own experiences, whether positive or negative. And I'm sure you might have had something like this in your past where you saw either yourself or others be too scattered. Let's focus. And so that's why you guided us. That's why it's in the curriculum. We
Mhm.
didn't listen for almost half a year. And yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, yeah. And the
And
reason why
by
I
the way,
give that
teachers are
advice,
the worst students. Teachers and coaches are the worst students because, well, I mean, we're out there teaching. We know what we're talking about, right?
hmm. And the only reason why I said that is I did this exact same thing, right? So I don't blame you. I don't
Yeah,
blame you for not listening to me because I had that exact same thought process. And it's like something like, as a parent, you go and teach your kid, but like they still go and do the opposite of what you said. But
yeah,
it's because a lot of times like they just need to learn that experience. They have to learn that hard
absolutely.
lesson. And so
Absolutely.
I
You
look at you,
have
I'm
to
like,
learn that lesson.
it's all right. Like part of me, I can say I told you so, but two, like I did the same thing. So I don't blame you. And a lot of people I know that are listening have done the same thing. And if you're in that spot right now that you're listening, stop what you're doing, dial it back one or two markets and dive deep, 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 deep into those markets. Build those relationships because it's a relationship game. It's not how many deals and um, how many deals you can get onto your plate at once. It's
Yeah.
finding that one deal, which really comes from a strong relationship and not just all the on market deals. You can find a deal on the on market deals. You can filter those.
Yeah.
Um, I've closed deals that are on market. It Many people do it all the time, but the real good deals come from the relationships that you built
Yeah.
that come from you spending a lot of time in one market. If you're spread across 7, 4, 10 markets, because they're all great markets, if you can do a deal in any of them, awesome, that's great. If you're doing that, you're not having meaningful conversations with brokers, property managers, contractors, um, local people that
Yeah.
might be able to source you a deal better than that you can find just from a listing, an on market deal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely. As much as we look at the nation and think, well, there's a lot of multifamily properties. This is a huge industry. It's a small community. And once you are known as someone that someone can come talk to or that's looking in a certain area, you will have stuff coming at you left and right.
mm,
Deals, but the actual true concept of off-market deals. You will have apartment owners coming and calling you, emailing you, knocking on your we've had someone knock on our door. You will do that when you're actually in a market, not scattered.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and then it snowballs. If you
Oh,
dive
yeah.
in deep that market, it snowballs in that. And then once you've built the right systems, now systems is key. Building the
Yes.
systems, you can expand that. And that's actually where I'm at right now with my team is we're trying to expand out of our market because we have really good traction. We're closing deals, but now we're ready to get bigger. So we're trying to
Yes.
expand out. And so I'm back in that same boat where I'm trying to be very careful in not throwing the net too wide and still find those specific markets that we want to dive deep into and just make it a couple of them, right?
Yep.
Build those strategic partnerships to do so. And so, yeah, I mean, that's advice for you people listening is listen to this now.
Yep.
You might not have listened to it and you might thinking, I know better. I can make it happen. Just dial it back. And then in the future, once you've done a deal or two, then you can open the doors up a little bit more to other markets because now you've done the system, you've built some credibility, and you know how to maybe repeat that process in another market. Um,
It, one of the greatest piece of advice that I got coaching was eating cereal. It's going to sound crazy, but it really comes to this kind of situation that we're talking about. When you're born, you don't know how to eat. Your parent is feeding you. Okay, one spoonful at a time. The first time you pick up that spoon, get a nice chunk of food, you might not get your mouth. In fact, if you're a parent, you know that child is not getting their mouth. There's a pretty good chance they're going to be either snorting Cheerios or having plum cereal all over their forehead. And it's hilarious, but it's a step that you have to take.
mm,
And then as time goes by, like you said, with repetition, you get the spoon in your mouth. Okay. Next thing you know, you're in your teens, you're starting to make the food yourself. Pretty good meals. Then you move on to being an adult. You have to make food for others. All of a sudden, you're a great chef, or at least a decent one, and your kids think that you're a great chef. Same thing here. You got to focus on just a spoon, one market, getting it to the right spot. Then once you've got that down, then you can start looking at other markets or other other things that you can invest in, and you can keep growing from there. But you got to get that spoon first. Right now, here at MFM, we're the ones feeding that baby food to you. And we just can't wait to see you have that big spot on your forehead or the cereal up your nose. We can't wait for that because that we know that's a step. You've been there with us.
Yep, that's right.
Yes. So that was one of the first years that I coached at Tokay High School. We had a freshman coach. He pulled me to the side and he pulled some of the ball players over who were thinking that their heads were too big. And he's like, "Look, just go back to the basics." And he gave that scenario with the baby food. One of the best pieces of coaching advice I could ever receive.
Wow.
Joe Johnson, fantastic coach.
That's awesome.
Basic name, but great coach.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that analogy. That's great. So let's switch gears. Let's jump into our lightning round questions. And I might throw in a couple of my own questions, but here's the lightning round questions. First one, what's one book that changed your mindset?
Your Next 5 Moves.
Oh, I love that book.
Next 5 Moves. Patrick Bet David. I don't care what your politics are. I know he's got a huge following. That because you cannot just be thinking checkers. Got to be playing chess. And one of the first lines in that book is, "I'm not here to make friends. I'm going to tell you how it is, and you're not. Some of you might not like this, and that is how this is. That's how a mindset needs to be. Is not everything is going to be great. You're going to hear some stuff you're not going to like, but I'm going to tell you the truth." One of the other things that I like to do is, there are some great books out there, but I love the one that really changed my perspective was the late great Jim Rohn. In 1981, he did a seminar in Anaheim, and I remember he says specifically, "We're in Anaheim, the summer of 1981." I was born in the summer of 1981, so that really resonated first for me. But everything after that made sense. I mean, Jim Rohn is like the godfather of self-help. He was Tony Robbins' mentor. And Tony Robbins is everybody's hero. But this is the guy before Tony Robbins. This is who taught Tony Robbins. So I love listening to that seminar once a month. Once a month for the last 5 years, I have listened to that. Because there's just so much great stuff there. That has changed my life.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go listen to that now. I'm gonna put that on my list and go listen to it. I like listening to Jim Rohn.
Yes.
So I might have listened to it at one point, but it's been some years. I gotta go back to that. That's awesome. Okay, so we've already kind of touched on this question. Best piece of coaching advice you've ever received?
Yeah, definitely the eating food, the being able to feed yourself. It shows in a very vivid detail the steps that you take, and no matter what you're doing, you have to take steps. Even the simplest thing is just living. It's all about steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to steal the thunder on that one.
No, you're good. Another question that we've already kind of touched on is, what's the most fulfilling part of your work at MFM?
Oh, you know what? At peak, it was fantastic. I mean, I've only been coaching here since November, but seeing some of the learners talking about deals, talking the talk, doing the things that we teach, including focusing on one market, seeing them do that and having them come up and be excited about actually meeting me instead of just being on some virtual call. That was fantastic. And actually finally meeting Tyler, because he, as much as I say Patrick Bet David's book and Jim Rohn, I mean, every morning I watch a Tyler Devereaux or a Multifamily Mindset YouTube video. It is literally on my calendar on Google Calendar, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. I'm watching somebody on our network one of those videos because it is great stuff. It's great stuff you guys put out there. And God willing, I am excited to hopefully join that part as well.
Yes, 100%. I love that. Okay, this next question, one thing MFM students should stop doing and one thing they should start doing.
Controversial take.
Let's do it.
I'm going to say it 100 doors in 100 days. Should they stop? Up to them. I've seen a lot of good students get burnt out by the attitudes of those also on that team who are pushing to get things done, and that creates a toxic situation. Now, with that
Mm.
said, this is why it's controversial because that might be a good thing. And but yeah, I was on two of those, or Gina and I were on two of those. It fell apart real quick because attitudes. Everybody wanted to be the chief. Nobody wanted to be the Indian. Everybody want to be the boss. Well, hey, look at the name here. There's only one.
There should
No.
only be one. Yeah.
um, but everybody want to be the boss and dictate what everyone else is doing. Zach, you and I, we've chatted. Your take on
Yeah.
100 doors in 100 days.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, we are talking about this right before we started recording, and um, you know, the benefit I see of taking it is it can be good because then it weeds out who's actually truly going to commit to this because it is a daily commitment process. Now I haven't done it myself. It's just from what I've seen. And so this is where Chris and I were talking through this of different perspectives of I see it as yeah, you do see some people's true colors because it does get into a you know, a intense situation, you could say, or just it wears people down, and then you see their colors, and then people fall off and fall apart. You can look at it as a negative in terms of we kind of just ruined maybe some relationships, but you also look at it as well. I might have just filtered out bad partnerships.
See, this is why I love talking to you, bro. You put the positive spin on what I'm saying was wrong with it. I love that. And that's the great thing about this is we can chat about the same thing. I mean, really, it's the
Mhm.
same thing that we're talking about, just different
Yeah,
perspectives.
yeah.
And so, yeah,
And people, some people have
you're
great
so
success,
positive.
and some people have I know. My wife, you know, she gets mad at me sometimes. She's like, "Why? Just get mad. Just yell sometimes. Just yell."
Like,
Uh,
why?
but but going back to that is like, there's pros and cons to all of it. It really depends on how you go into that environment and you know what you're committed to do, right? And that's how I see it. Is it's a commitment process. Like, how committed are you to this journey? And those that initially did it and had some successes, they were committed. They had some hard times, but they committed and went through the process and then they made it happen. There's other groups that did it and they didn't, you know, get fully successful, but they learned a lot through that process, I'm sure. And so, I mean, for me, my saying is like, what can I learn from this? Right.
Yes.
And so I think from your bad experiences, you can learn this isn't a great, you know, process for us. We haven't had great success and it kind of ruins some of those relationships that you know can be good relationships, but we talked about it could also speed up that process of weeding
Absolutely.
out those people and finding those that are truly committed to this journey because it's a journey and it's tough,
Yeah.
it's hard, um but just like anything in life, like you said, you got to learn each step of that process, um and you got to be committed to go through the hard stuff. And no matter what you go do, try something new. It's going to be hard, but figure out if this is, you know, the right path. And then partners, like finding partners is tough. That is tough to find the right partners. I've been through a few partnerships, um, and you know, it's all good. It's all good now.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but like I've been through that and I understand trying to find partners and it's really coming down to aligning with the people that share the same values as you. Um, and so that 100 days, the 100 doors challenge does put you in this, partnership situation where you're all going in as partners to try to tackle some deals or a deal.
Yeah.
And it just puts you in a locked room, I feel like. And then you just, right. And you just find out who's willing to stay through that and who's going to have your back.
Yeah.
Um,
And
and
who's going to
then
stab you in the back?
or who's going to stab you in the back?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's could be some murder mystery, in the movies for sure. So it's all
Yeah.
about learning through
No,
that.
all
Okay,
about
so
perspective. I love it.
from either stop doing that or start doing it, right? It depends on your perspective on how you want to do that, but proceed with caution is probably
Yes.
how we want to kind of end that piece, right? Is proceed
There you
with
go.
caution in going into these challenges, knowing that it's going to accelerate some things and it's going to bring out maybe some ugly things, and it's also going to bring out some really beautiful things.
Yeah.
Um, it's everyone's experience is going to be a little bit
A
different.
little bit different. Exactly.
Okay,
All
what's one
right.
thing they should start doing?
Uh, Apparently, I should start looking at the positive side of things. I mean, I, they really should. Students should, because there are some students out there that look at the financial part that they just put down,
Mm,
and now they're negative. Well, negativity has never grown anything good.
mm,
So, if they're not already positive, let's find something to be positive about. That is something they should definitely start doing.
yeah, I love that. Perfect. Okay, another question. If you could go back and talk to yourself on day one of your investing journey, what would you say?
I touched on this. Stop being a coach and a teacher and start listening. Be a better student. Listen to what's being told to you.
Yep.
Honestly, that is really the number one thing Gina and I talked to each other about is like, man, if we had only listened. If now we have a chance to give an example. So that's a positive that came out of it was now we have a good story that we can give to our students and to the learners is, hey, just listen, just give it a shot. You are here to learn, not to bring your experience in and excel. No, you're here to learn because you probably haven't done real estate before. Others have. There are great people in the past that have put their stories into books for you to read so you don't make their same mistakes. So be a good learner, be a good student, go find some books, listen to the conversation, go to some seminars, go to some meetups. Listen from those that have done it
Yeah.
and actually listen and follow.
Yeah, don't just listen one ear and come out the other ear. Yeah,
Like
follow it.
we
Yeah.
remember what you taught us. Remember that you did say it. Absolutely. Yay.
Love that. Okay, I'm gonna throw a different question at you.
Absolutely.
I like to throw these at all my guests. Is how do you define success?
Being able to look back, know that no matter what the outcome was, you did what you thought you should do. And win or lose, if you did it right, you did it right. Um, yeah, that's what I define as success. Is can you still look at yourself in the mirror after doing everything that you could?
Hmm,
And if you can, then you're a success. Because either way, you got what you wanted or you got some lessons.
love
That's
that.
success.
Yeah.
Now, if you just want to be negative and not take any lessons that you learned, that's not a success. That
Hmm.
was a loss.
But it's a loss because of your mindset in that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I think that's the important piece to pull out of there is like, you could, from what you said, is like success could be at any moment of your life. You can look back and say, yeah, I've been successful because I've learned from this
Yes.
experience.
Yeah.
But if you're
The worst.
choosing to be the negative and look at the negatives of it, of your situation, of where you're at, yeah, you're not going to be successful. And so really at the end of the day, it's, where does your mind lie?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, if you have regrets, that means you didn't learn from it. And
Mm,
therefore it was something you should regret because you didn't take every lesson you could. That wasn't a success.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Of that. Okay. So if someone's listening, and this to sum this up, if someone's listening right now, maybe they're unsure, maybe they're overwhelmed, but they know they're meant for more, right? This is your moment that you mentioned, and you're on that drive to Chicago. What would you say to them?
All right, you're gonna have to say that one again because I need to process that one.
Yes, I'll go through this. If someone's listening right now and
Yeah,
maybe they're unsure, maybe they're overwhelmed, but they know they're meant for more,
yeah.
what would you say to them?
What's the worst that can happen? You
Yeah.
have something in your mind. You have the thought is there. So somewhere in you, you want more. What's the worst that can happen? If you don't take action, you're right where you're at right now. And obviously, that's not a good spot because you want more. So go for it. That is one of the worst things that can happen in life is just settling. Settling
Mhm.
for something you're not enjoying. That's not what life is about. Go think bigger. Go own your outcome. All those great things that we have here at Multifamily Mindset, but it's absolutely true.
Yep.
Just settling is not owning your outcome, except for a bad one. Go out, do it. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
I, I would tell my students and my athletes, go out after graduation and go see the world. We're in California. If you want to come back to California, then come on back. But go see the world. Go see outside your city. Go see outside your state. Go see outside your country. Go see the world. You can always come back, whether it's because family's here or you have property here or whatever. Go see the world. My own children listen to that. And they heard me say to so many people, my daughter's out in Oklahoma working for Google.
Wow.
She's not in California. She moved out there when she was, I think, 18 and a half. My son is floating somewhere out in some ocean around the world in the Navy.
Yeah.
He listened. He's out there. I told him when he graduated from boot camp how I'm not jealous. I'm proud, but I am jealous because I know the adventures he's about to go through because I was in the Navy too. And if he's doing it right, he's going to have a blast. That is really what I would tell anyone on their journey and they're looking for more. What's the worst that could happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're going to be fine.
Yeah. Why not you? Right. Going back to that. Why not you?
Why not you?
Yeah. I love
Absolutely.
that. Well, Chris, this has been awesome. I've really enjoyed talking. We need to do this more. But to throw a little, maybe hint or announcement to our listeners is you might be hearing more of Chris coming on here as being a voice. And so I'm super excited for Chris. And, listeners, if you like this, please like it, subscribe, share it with someone else. And hopefully you learned something from this. If you didn't, rewind it, listen, and follow through with not just one in one ear and one out the other. But Chris, again, thanks so much for being on. Uh, love this chat we had, this catch up, and we'll do this again.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. Fantastic. I appreciate it. And yeah, folks, go listen to all the stuff that's out on our broadcasts for MFM and for Tyler because there's some great nuggets of knowledge that Zach has given out through the years. Fantastic. I love listening to you. So it's
I
been
appreciate
a
it.
huge honor and pleasure being on here chatting with you. And of course, being one of your students was so much fun,
So
even
much
if I
fun.
didn't listen.
Hey, and we're just starting the journey.
There you go.
Just starting the journey. Love it. Awesome. Well, we'll see you listeners next time.
Multifamily Mindset.